Melinda Haynes, license number 102308. So I want to look at attachment disorders in childhood and personality disorders in adulthood. Is there a connection? Is it a continuum of diagnoses, I guess, that just kind of travel with the kiddo all the way up into adulthood? So reactive attachment disorder, first of all, is in a disorder that happens in childhood. We usually will see it for kids that have experienced trauma or a lot of moves they've been bounced around from home to home to home. For example, in the foster care system, they might have experienced a long hospitalization or a parent who's been hospitalized. The parent might have mental illness. The parent might have a drug addiction. The parent might have been in prison, for example, and just not nearby. It can also happen to a child who has a loving parent, but the parent is absent for a great deal of time because they have to work. Some parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to pay the bills, and these kiddos end up kind of raising themselves, and then they end up with an attachment disorder just because the parent wasn't able to provide all of the nurturing that the child needed. And so it wasn't malicious, it wasn't anything that was done, purposefully to abuse or to neglect, but sometimes the kid will end up with that kind of attachment style because of the situation and what happened. Now, another aspect of attachment disorders in childhood is the Disinhibited Social Engagement Disorder. Now, that is a type of attachment. It actually used to be considered exactly a reactive attachment disorder, disinhibited type, but in this latest edition of the DSM, it got its own little name. And so the disinhibited type means that this is the kiddo that the second you meet them, you're their best friend. They basically want to just be yours. So they might tell you right away within the first few minutes of meeting them that, they love you, that you're their best friend, that they wish that you were the mom or the dad. Those kinds of things, so they connect to you really fast. So you might see them, for example, on the school ground, they're going to be connected to their teacher. They're going to be the one that always wants that attention, always trying to talk to the teacher, the yard duty, the janitor, the lunch lady, all the parents that come to pick up their school, they're just going to attach. Okay, they're going to try to attach to people. But now what I want us to look at now is these kiddos, when they grow up, they don't just magically, take off their diagnosis when they hit 18. They still have these attachment patterns of interacting, either pushing people away, like reactive attachment, they're going to push people away. They're going to do something, they're going to lie or cheat or steal or throw a gigantic tantrum, or they're going to do something to kind of push you away. And then the disinhibited type, they're going to do anything just to get people. So when we see adults behaving like this, do we connect it to that? Do we connect it to an attachment pattern, an attachment style that they learned throughout their childhood? So if you've got somebody supposedly who's narcissistic, who has narcissistic personality disorder or symptomology. Now, symptomology means that maybe they have some characteristics of a certain diagnosis, but they don't meet full diagnostic criteria, so they're going to have symptomology. So if we've got somebody who has borderline symptomology or narcissistic symptomology, is it just a reflection of their childhood interaction style, their childhood attachment style? So you think about the narcissist who needs the narcissistic supply. Is that a form of disinhibited social engagement disorder where they just need to attach to anybody? You'll do. Anybody who's going to pay attention to me, who's going to, fill my needs, who's going to make me feel better about myself. Is it the same kind of pattern? And then you've got the same kind of people, maybe with borderline, where you start to get close to them and you start to feel like, yes, we're finally bonding. We broke through a barrier. We're gonna be good now. And then the person has a kind of a meltdown or a tantrum, if you will, just like a kiddo with reactive attachment disorder, where you start to get close and then they do something to push you away. Also, you'll see those behaviors, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, and it might not even be stealing like they are going and robbing a bank. I'm not talking about that kind of stealing, but they might be a little sneaky and do things that are maybe kind of underhanded. sneaking around things, doing things to get away with things. And you're like, why didn't you just ask, or that kind of thing? But that's their pattern. That's their pattern of interacting. So my thought is that the personality disorders that we see, the histrionic, the borderline, the narcissist, all these different types of personality disorders may be rooted in attachment styles from childhood. So what do you guys think? Maybe some of you have studied the DSM, maybe some of you have not, maybe some of you, this is the first time you're hearing any of this kind of stuff. But I want to hear, like, what are your thoughts on this? How do you think, like, this kind of childhood stuff transitions into adulthood? Does this make sense that it could be an attachment issue rather than just a moral issue or a character issue? So let me know. I'd like to hear your feedback and your thoughts, and I appreciate you. Thank you for watching.